All right, that's Joe Walsh, his title track Analog Man off his new album termed Analog Man. I'm Brian Stratton. I'm friends with benefits with Phil Markella. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, and it's our extreme pleasure to introduce Joe Walsh on the line. How are you doing, Joe?
How you doing, guys?
All right, man.
How you doing?
We're doing good.
good.
Doing real good.
Where are you hanging out today, Joe? Are you in L.A. or somewhere
I'm
about?
in Los Angeles getting ready to head out for the tour.
Excellent.
Well, the good news is you're coming our way. Wednesday, August 1st, you'll be down the Cape at Cape Cod Melody Tent. And then Friday, August 3rd, you will be in Cohasset. And that's at the South Shore Music Circus. And both of these shows, I promise, are going to be tremendous. And Joe, we're excited. I've listened to the album many times, and it's just a superb piece of work. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
I'll tell you, and you constantly have just been growing as a musician. You're kind of like one of the last of the Mohegans here. I mean, yeah, you follow what I mean? It's like you're sober now, which I don't know. How long have you been in sobriety for?
18 years.
That's amazing.
Good for you.
Congratulations. You remind me of, our buddy Joe Perry, who lives in the next town over here from Aerosmith. Ted Nugent, you're all sober, but you're still at the top of your game musically, and I think that's what it takes. I think the sobriety is such a big role in what you're doing now and how you're able to be so productive musically and creative. What is your feeling on that?
Yeah, it's a big part of still being around. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't sober. I know that for a fact, no doubt in my mind. I like to say I only got drunk once for 25 years. That's a good way to describe it. But
Right.
I had a good run, I mean, those were the days, and I don't have a lot of regrets. Maybe the last 5 years of that I'd love to have back, but so be it. I'm 18 years sober now, and I'm not done yet.
Excellent.
I'm writing better. I'm more focused. I'm playing better. Things are good. So the message is that there is life after all of that, and for anybody who's in trouble themselves, the phone may weigh 80 pounds when you pick it up, but pick it up and ask for help.
Well, that's an intense message. The album Analog Man is so different in such a creative, in a creative way, and it's in the variety, the diversity. It's a true modern masterpiece in my mind.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Well, it really is. If you listen, it's got just kind of a different flavor to each track, not like the older stuff. To tell us what's behind all that. Like, is this like a chronicle of maybe the last 15 years of your sober life? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's been 20 years since the last solo album, and this is the first one I did sober.
Okay.
So I've got a lot to say.
Sure.
A lot of stuff has happened. I'm not saying analog is better, and I'm not a hermit who lives in the woods. I know all about digital technology, but I've had to make some adjustments in the way music is recorded and all of that. I think we all are trying to navigate digital technology. It's hard to keep up with, and I'm not sure if it's working for us or we're working for it. We'll have to see where that goes. These are interesting times. But I feel pretty good. I spent a lot of time, just trying to get the album right.
Sure.
Trying to make it. And I didn't have time to really look at everything and sit back and grasp it as a song. I'm doing that now, and I'm pretty happy with everything. It's a good statement of where I'm at, and I guess the message is that I'm back, and it won't be 20 years till the next one.
Well, I certainly hope not.
Absolutely. Joe, we're speaking with Joe Walsh, solo artist, but also with the great band The Eagles. And I take it the Eagles are on break now, or people are doing solo projects. Is that probably right at this point?
Yeah, we've been going strong since 1994 when we decided to get back to work, and out of that, of course, came Hell Freezes Over. But we decided to have some downtime here. We've been around the world a couple times, and we got to figure out what we're going to do next. None of us had really any momentum with solo projects during all this time. But Glenn has an album out, mine's out. Don Henley's finishing his in Nashville. We're all doing that, and then we'll decide what to do next. It is our 40th anniversary as a band.
Whoa.
So
Yep.
Around that kind of theme, I think we'll retool, and probably in the later part of next year, we'll have a happy birthday tour. Happy birthday to us.
Can you imagine what that's going to be like? Oh, my God.
We'll have to see. It'll be good, but we need to put a new show together, and that's going to take a lot of work. Anyway, that's what's going on.
That's pretty cool. And I'll tell you, Joe, I'm also a traveling musician at times, part-time. It's my other life. And I actually subbed in and did some gigs with Chicago last year, who also, they're almost on their 45th anniversary. I think it's next year. And we have my good buddy, Drew Hester, I think is playing with you right now. Is that right?
One of my drummers.
Amazing guy, amazing talent, and I'm sure he was so much fun to be on the stage with during my time with Chicago, and you must just feel like you have so much talent around you that you really don't have to do that much on stage now because you're just so surrounded.
Oh, I'd rethink that one.
How many pieces we have on the stage for this tour?
Sing everything.
What's that?
I have to sing everything.
Are you? Oh man, you're on the hook for the vocals. That's right, and that's the hardest part, man.
Yeah, I know. I have to sing everything. No, I have a lot to do. I'm pretty busy. I have to play lead guitar and lead the charge. I've got a great band, and they're making me really step up and play rock and roll. I know how to do it, but I don't really do it unless I have to, and they're making me have to.
It's so much fun too, I bet. It's got to be so much fun at this point.
Yeah, it is. But I'm coming from a band that had 4 lead singers, and now there's only me, so I am busy every song.
Well, you got to get into shape for that one, I'm sure. But you know what? The song that gets me on your album is a song called Family. It just comes to mind. It's one of my personal cuts off of the album. How did this song come to fruition? Because it, I kind of read some things about you, and I heard some stuff on interviews, and it seems like you're kind of in a family unit now.
Yes, I am. I got married about 3.5 years ago, and I didn't think it would happen this time around, but I found somebody who is like the missing part of me. Along with her came this extended family that is very close, and it's a dynamic I've never really been around. And learning to be part of is an ongoing thing for me. But I have been accepted into this really close family. And I didn't realize what I was missing until that happened. And so the song Family is about my new experience of being part of one, and it came from the heart.
And you know what? It's funny, and I don't mean to interrupt, but my buddy Graham Nash is singing. I could hear his high harmony throughout that whole song, and I hear David Crosby in there. And what a blend of 3 beautiful vocals to make that wonderful chorus shine. It's amazing.
Well, as that song was about half written, I thought, you know what? This would be good for David and Graham. And, of course, anything they sing on becomes immediately special. So I played it for them and said, "What do you think?" And they came over, and I'm not going to tell them what to sing. I just said, "Here, tell me when you're done," and they put those parts on, and it made it special. Made it special for me, and I hope it made it special for other people besides me.
Well, it's a real dynamite song, and this album is real dynamite. But I got to ask you, where does Ringo fit into all this? It seems like every time I pick up something, Joe Walsh is related to, or next to, or playing with somebody. How does Ringo come into all this?
My sister. No, start again. My wife is. My wife's big sister is Ringo's wife.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay, yes, it makes
Okay.
sense. Yep.
Wow, what a small world.
The little sister of Barbara Bach, who's married to
Right.
Ringo, which makes him my brother-in-law.
Oh, jeez.
What you pray for?
That must be a fun Christmas.
I was going to say, Thanksgivings
gathering.
must be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, and I must say that a guy couldn't have a better friend or brother-in-law. For what he's been through, he's so genuine and straight across. His insight and his knowledge have helped me so much navigate my personal life. And besides that, I got a great drummer on call.
Right.
Isn't
right.
that amazing? He really lays it down, man. He knows a pocket.
Now, was this your first time working with Jeff Lynne?
Yes, it is. I kind of known him
Right.
for years and years. We tried to think if we'd ever met, and neither of us really know.
I'm sure you bumped into each other somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was another one of my wife's ideas. She said, "You know what you need? Here's Jeff Lynne's number. Give him a call."
Well, it's good. You should keep listening to her.
Yeah, I do. Jeff has a great gift. You can hand him bits and pieces, and he hears where you're trying to go with it, and he helps you get there. And then anything you give him, he makes it sound like it should be on the radio. He took me in a direction I never would have gone, and the music's better for it. And he's a true master. I hope I get to work with him again soon.
Yes, and we're speaking to Joe Walsh, the driving force of the Eagles, with the new solo album, Analog Man. You know, this right now, I have to admit, Joe, I'm a little depressed about the state of music in the last 20 years. Nothing has really grabbed me, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it's in concert with the digital age. I don't know if the two of them just came together and all of a sudden music dropped off the face of the earth, because I'm certainly stuck in the 70s. I'm only in my young 40s, but I love the 70s music. I mean, it's a decade that will just never be matched, in my eyes, anywhere, ever again, creatively, just in all sorts. And I guess what I'm saying here is, what are you listening to now? I mean, I listen to a little country because I think Brad Paisley's a great country guitar slinger, and a couple guys like that. But other than that, where are the Joe Walshes of today? Where are the Joe Perrys, the Ted Nugents, the Steve Lukathers, the Terry Kaths? Where are those guys?
Well, here's what happened as far as I can tell. Digital technology, with all its great benefits, it ate the record store infrastructure. It ate intellectual property, and I mean, they're just gone. And it ate radio as we all knew it, and that was the mainframe for the way music used to be. So young musicians have to navigate that, and they ask me for advice, and I don't have any. I'm as lost as they are.
Sure, and that doesn't surprise me.
He knows how to do music now. It's totally different, and I suppose we'll learn. The other thing that digital technology did was it changed music. you can fix anything now, and you can make it perfect. There's a great temptation to fix everything. And you can fix something, but don't fix stuff that doesn't need fixing.
Correct.
Every time you do that, you take the mojo out of a human performance, which is what we all love about the old records. And so it has changed music, and like I say, the young musicians who are up and coming have to navigate all this. And right now, it's a mountain that's almost too tall to climb. And good luck to them. And there's good music out there, but you really have to go fishing for it. Every once in a while, somebody will pop up. I think Kings of Leon are making great records. I think Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters are doing a great job.
That's an analog album too. That last one.
The Black Keys are very valid, and Jack Black is good. Stuff is out there, but you really got to go fishing for it. And I hope that this all starts to make sense. It's a huge state of transition we're in, and it's different than we all know it. That's what's going on.
I think it's important too that Joe Walsh goes out and hits the road right now to promote this album like you are, because I think if you weren't out there promoting this album live, because you have a brand name and you can certainly draw, thousands of people, this album kind of goes by the wayside in some ways. And you have to work as hard as any up-and-comer almost at this point, unfortunately. But you've got so much of a head start because you're a Hall of Fame guitarist. I mean, you're one of the best of all time at what you do when it comes to that slide guitar. Really, I don't know who matches it. And luckily, what my interest would be is to try to get, some of the ages between the ages of kids between the ages of 20 and 35 or 20 and 40 to really listen to this stuff, because they're not listening to this stuff.
Well, there is good news. I mean, people our age now are music teachers.
In their 40s, yes.
Yeah, and we're teaching the guitar. I just, at the 4th of July parade a couple weeks ago, there was a float with a rock band with 10 and 12-year-old kids.
Yep.
And they were playing classic rock.
We're an American band by Grand Funk Railroad.
Exactly. Did you see them?
I did not, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
And Joe, what is your take on all this about how we get the music out to these kids?
A lot of the kids know classic rock because their parents played it when they were growing up.
They sure do. But do they know Analog Man? I want them to know Analog Man. I want them to know Family, Wrecking Ball, Lucky That Way. I want them to be listening to what's coming out now, because believe me, this is a very mature Joe Walsh we're listening to, if you know what I mean, in my sense. I love Funk 50. I thought that was kind of but just a really creative way to expound on Funk 49.
Yeah. Young kids are showing up. They're there. They're coming to hear me or the Eagles for the first time, really. And they're very curious. There's occasionally young kids who say that I have been an inspiration, and I'm partly responsible for why they want to be musicians. And this is kind of new to me. I had heroes and people that I thought were special, and I might be that to some young musicians, and I'm honored by that. I guess it's my turn in the barrel, but that's a responsibility, and I hope I can be as good an influence as the people who made me what I am today were. Anyway, we'll have to see what happens, but there's a lot of young kids out there, and we'll see we'll see which way they go. I don't hear a whole lot of music. You know, they have Britney Spears. We had the Rolling Stones.
Right. There you go. It says it in a nutshell. No question. And, you know, Joe, and we only have a couple minutes left, but do you have any requests to play on albums for, say, country artists or just people in the pop world in today's, do they say, we want Joe Walsh to sit in on this song? And do you entertain those requests?
Yeah, I got a little action from Nashville lately. I played on a Kenny Chesney song. And Kix Brooks from Brooks and Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
I love him, yes.
Put out his first solo album, and I played on one of his songs. Kind of spent some time in Nashville and got to know some of those guys. Of course, Brad is brilliant.
What a monster. Monster. Yeah.
Brad Paisley is brilliant, and Vince Gill is a monster, too.
Oh, my
those
Lord.
guys are really good guitar players. So I enjoy hanging out with them, and the quality of musicianship in Nashville is definitely something to pay attention to.
No, I have a question for you. I know, speaking of songwriting and musicianship, when I always thought of you, Joe, and I've listened to your music for the last 30 years, and I always thought of you more as a songwriter, and maybe that's just because when I was in bands, I was a vocalist. I wasn't a musician. So I was curious, and I loved your songs. I loved your lyrics. I loved the way you have it. You had a humorous take on Jesus, pretty much everything, and you never seemed to take yourself all too serious. You would make very personal statements in your songs, nothing sweeping and nothing, no grand statement, but just the way you saw things. I go back to, Life's Been Good. I mean, yeah, Life's Been Good to Joe, and you told us, and it's an amazing song, and then you come up with, 10, 15 years later, Ordinary Average Guy. And I always thought of Joe, when I think of Joe Walsh, I think of an ordinary average guy who plays a mean guitar, and then you follow that up now 20 years later with Analog Man. I mean,
It's amazing.
To me, it's incredible. It's like you're telling the story of your life, at every stage of it with each solo album.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned is that a lot of non-musical stuff comes along with success. And it's real easy for musicians to get distracted, and they lose sight of what they were doing that was responsible for the success. Some people never come back from that. I got lost thinking that I couldn't do it with alcohol, and I went away for a while. But having been rich a couple times and famous a couple times, successful every now and then, about the only thing that's really left for me is to work at my craft. So I'm back to where I was in the beginning, and it's full circle. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I know about all that stuff, but so much non-musical stuff comes along with it. When you start signing autographs and get a check for a lot of money, you're gone. You put your guitar down and go, whoopee!
I always thought you were an amazing songwriter. Now, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself a guitar player first, a songwriter first, a storyteller?
I just want to go down as a valid creative spokesman for the generation I represent. I'll be happy with that.
Well, job well done.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
Job well done. Well, you've been listening to Joe Walsh. I am Brian Stratton, and across from me is Phil Markella on Friends with Benefits. And we'll be right back after these commercial messages. Thanks so much, Joe, for being on the air.
Thanks, Joe.
My pleasure.